Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Sarah Traver, I'm the director here at Traver Gallery, and I am really pleased to be here with Dafna Kaffeman, who is our featured artist this month. Dafna is having her first show here at Traver Gallery, although she's been an internationally represented artist for more than 25 years.
Sort of, yeah. More than 2 decades,
yeah. We're thrilled to have you here, Dafna. Thank you very much
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's really a privilege. Yeah.
So the title of this exhibition is The Fire Age, and I'm going to let Dafna speak a little bit about that. But represented in this exhibition are a few different bodies of work from a few different periods of time in Dafna's career. So we'll look at those things kind of as distinct bodies of work and talk a little bit about how they connect and also your process and inspiration.
Yeah.
So do you want to jump in and just speak a little bit about the title of the exhibition? I think that might be a nice jumping off point for the work that we're standing next to.
Yeah. Well, the Fire Age is something that I'm really occupied with. It started with the climate change, and then I read an article about it, and I always say that I work with fire more than working with glass, because I use the torch, and it's just live fire that I'm sculpturing in, and I felt it was very relevant, so that's where the title came.
Wonderful. So the most recent work that's in the show are these series of exquisite drawings and glass elements that you're calling fossils. Can you share a bit about your thought process with these?
So the whole series started with the fossils and exploring this idea. I find that it's really fascinating because of the combination of a soil and organism, and which has been in the ground for like so many years. And my process was always involved drawings on with pencil on paper, and with this series I felt like I want to make a kind of a combination with the drawings with the pencil and the drawings with the flame. I have to say, like, they were really something that came out from me in a way sort of intuitively. And I really enjoyed making the whole series. I always work in series, like each project has a series, and so with this I felt like it's really evolving and growing and changing in the whole process. It was really interesting to explore the whole idea.
Yeah, I love, we'll walk and talk at the same time. Maybe we can take a look at some of the ones over here. I love the idea of drawing with the glass. Like, it's so, because you see the glass next to the pencil drawing, like you immediately get that idea that the line in the glass is just like a drawn line. It has that same kind of expressive quality.
Yeah, and I also really like glass because of its fragility and the qualities of it is so delicate. So I really felt that with this series I could really take it to the limits almost. So like, it's really the lines of the glass, and the possibility of also hanging them together and displaying it in this way was also very new and interesting as well for me to try it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've been thinking about with these pieces, and I don't know if this is your intention or not, but you know, the climate change and fossils, the title Fire Age, it makes me think about how fossils are this kind of record of a moment in time, something that happened on the earth, and these animals sort of tell this history, and then paired with the glass, as you said, that fragility, that sense of like tenuousness, like how can this thing even exist?
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful...
Yeah, exactly. I think you really describe it exactly as I think, and also I always see the process of using glass a little bit like recording the nature in a way, It's a way for me also to understand nature and my surroundings. And so I felt like it's all coming together in with these pieces of these combinations.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background as an artist? And
Yeah, I've started my studies in Jerusalem, and we have like this amazing history of ancient glass. Glass blowing was invented in that area, and the beginning of the glass making. But when I was a student, we didn't have so much of contemporary glass, and I felt like I was searching for something else. So I've moved into the Rietveld Academy in the Netherlands to study, and I did also my master in fine art in Amsterdam. And while I was there, I was exploring the material. I wasn't familiar yet with the flame working technique. And then when I was studying, a friend of mine showed me like how you do it very, very basically. That's how I actually started. I was really very, very hooked to this, to the glass, to the fire, to the heat. I really felt like a big connection to that. Actually, on the way here, which is very long, I was thinking to myself that part of what was driven for me was the idea of making my art and traveling in the world with my art. And I thought to myself that I chose really the worst material to do that. I mean, it's like it's so fragile. So in a way, I don't have an answer why I chose it. I think like it's, in a way, maybe chose me. It was like too strong so that I couldn't resist it. And I just, since then, worked with that flame technique, and I studied that, and really it became my primarily method. Yeah. And I don't have the answer, but I think this exhibition is actually a very nice point to look at work, because some of it is really more from different times and the very, very new latest works that I did. So it's interesting for me to have a look at it and think about that question, like why did I choose glass?
Yeah, I think, well, let's actually, the fragility piece kind of connects really beautifully to some of the, from this series of work, which we can take a look at. And then the other thing that I notice, and it's fun to have different bodies of work in this context, because you do start to see like these themes that kind of emerge. And for sure with you, nature is a big theme. Think drawing from botanicals, from animals, from the natural environment, and making connection to like current society and who we are as people with those natural elements seems to be a strong thing. Can you talk a little bit about this series? And I mean, again, it's exquisite. I hope we can capture on camera just the how incredibly intricate and fragile these pieces are. I don't know another way to say that, because it's sort of what makes them so like breathtaking. Literally, they take your breath away.
Yeah, and I have to say about that, when you asked me also about my history, that I really wanted to work with glass, and glass is really beautiful. And in a way, I wanted to kind of contradict that beautifulness of the glass and to add it to something else, because I felt like, okay, it's beautiful, but it's also a really, really smart material. It's really a special material. It holds so many ideas, I think, in this material, much more than other materials, for me at least. So with this series, and basically many of my pieces before this new series, they involve text as well. And the text really reflects on the area I come from and social or political aspects of it. And with this series, I had such an interesting possibility. I was invited to exhibit work on an island called Utsira in Norway. I was given a lighthouse, and I was told you can do whatever you want in that lighthouse. So my idea was to somehow cooperate with the people on the island. And I've already done some work that combined plants, and I've enjoyed very much making them with glass and finding the connection or the symbolism they have, and together with the text. And then I thought, okay, what's the uniqueness of that island? And I realized that the women and men there, they are like professional embroiders. They embroider for the army of Norway. So I've reached out, and 10 people from the island agreed to take part, and they embroidered. I sent in advance the handkerchiefs. I wrote on them in pencil, and I've sent it in advance to the island, and they embroidered it however they wanted to do it, with whatever colors and whatever they wanted to add. And when I came to the island, I connected it to the plants, and it was a very interesting project, also to work with other people, and also because it had such so many things could have gone wrong in that project, but they didn't, and it worked really beautifully inside that old lighthouse.
So can you talk a little bit about some of the plants that are included here, and like the symbolism, or
Yeah, well, basically most of them, except for one, are native for the area I come from, how do you call it? Local plants. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, native.
Yeah, native plants. And I started with, the title of the whole exhibition was The Red Everlasting, which is the piece over there, which is symbolic. And then I've added some other plants that are like the thorns, or these plants are very typical to the area. And there was only one plant, which is the last one, which I've done from just looking at Norwegian plants. And then later on I realized that it was a plant that grows after a fire, which connects also to the title of the exhibition, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole process I'm doing is really finding a way to decipher the code of the plant or the code of the insects. At this period of time, I still didn't make insects. I only made plants or botanicals. And then at a later point, I've started to add the insects, and then that's something you can see on the
Yeah, should we
Yeah.
walk over and
Yeah.
see the rule of law table?
Yeah. So this was a very interesting phase in my work, because I felt I was a little bit limited with the handkerchief. They kind of determined the size of the piece, and then they moved out, but I still was showing them in cases. And then I was part of an exhibition in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, and I was invited to make a kind of a large installation with the plants, and so I just moved to that phase. And you can see already the insects that are in here, for example, the wasps. Mm-hmm. And the mantis. The mantis is very important. I started making, there was a series I made in 2010, I think, that was titled Mantis Religiosa. And ever since then, I've added them to almost every series I've made. So it's here. It's a lot of plants that are local to the region. And together, I've added here text, which I thought was very interesting. I found a field guide, agricultural field guide that was written in the 1930s. And it starts with the 10 rules of working in the laboratory. And the last rule is that if you finish your work and you clean the tools, if you keep everything clean, everything will be okay. Everything will come into order. I was really taken by this sentence. Basically, I choose text for all my work when I find some kind of a connection or relate to them. So this really drew me into that text. And I've started also to take out other little fragments from the book. about leaves, soil, the light, so like that the plants is attracted to the light. I found a lot of poetical aspects in that, in these little sentences, and then I connected them to the plants, and that's the installation of it. So, for example, the plant is leaning towards the sun, or simple leaves and complicated leaves. I guess complicated is probably not the right translation. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like there is a botanical word of translating it.
Maybe ornate or something.
Yeah, or heavy soil and light soil. All of this. This is just the soil. This is the leaf. Or how do you count the tree? The lives of the tree according to its stem. So I just took out and then I copied it in a Xerox machine. And that's also a kind of evolution, because I started with embroidery. It moved to a letter set period, and now it's really more about just the cutting and rebuilding of the text. And the latest series has no text. So
why is that?
I guess I feel I'm in a way speechless.
Yeah.
I don't have anything I can say in words, so it's
Fair.
just, yeah.
Yeah. I love the element of the sort of found poetry and sort of allowing a viewer to come to this without the context of the book that you found, right? I mean, there's some context to it, but immediately you read just a simple sentence, heavy soil, light soil, or how do you count the life of a tree based on its trunk or something. Like that's such a, it's a wonderful sort of access point, I think, makes you immediately think about how does this connect to me as a person, or like our community or society. And
yeah, definitely. And also when I think now that we've done this round and came here, how it really relates to the whole title of the exhibition, the fire age, in the aspect of the climate change and what it's doing for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's really, like, I really feel that it's echoing here also in the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the exhibition, yeah.
Absolutely. Dafna, thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
thrilled to have the work here in the gallery. It's a beautiful show.
Thank you.
I'm pleased that these very fragile pieces traveled to us safely. It's very impressive, and I hope you all can come in and see this in person. The show is up through the month of July, and we'll have work on view after that as well. We'll always have Dafna's work to take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all.